I refused to babysit my sister's kids anymore, and she showed up drunk at 2 a.m. Now she's in rehab and I'm torn between helping her and protecting my family. I'm Evelyn, 29F, and I've been married to Blake, 31M, for 6 years. We have 2 kids, Emma, 5F, and Jack, 3M. My sister Brooke, 33F, lives about 10 minutes away from us with her husband Matthew, 35M, and their 3 kids, Nia, 7F, Ethan, 4M, and Zoe, 1F. Brooke and I have always been close. Growing up, we shared a room and were practically inseparable. When I was 15 and she was 19, our parents went through a messy divorce. It was a really tough time for our family, but Brooke stepped up and became like a second mom to me. She'd drive me to school, help me with homework, and even stood up to our dad when he'd come home drunk and angry. I don't think I would have made it through those years without her. So when Brooke got married right after college, I was thrilled for her. I was her maid of honor and helped plan her whole wedding. It was a beautiful day, and I remember thinking how lucky I was to have such an amazing big sister. A few years later, when Blake and I got married, Brooke returned the favor. She threw me an incredible bridal shower, helped me pick out my dress, and was by my side throughout the whole planning process. On our wedding day, her speech made everyone cry happy tears. She talked about how proud she was of me and how she knew Blake and I would have an amazing life together. When Brooke had her first kid, Mia, I was over the moon to be an aunt. I offered to babysit occasionally to give her and Matthew a break. At first, it was just once in a while, maybe an afternoon here and there so they could have a date night. I loved spending time with Mia and watching her grow. But over the last couple of years, things have gotten out of hand. When Ethan was born, Brooke started asking me to watch the kids more often. It went from once a month to once a week, then multiple times a week. She'd drop them off for a couple hours and then not pick them up until late at night. I work from home as a graphic designer, and it's really hard to get any work done with 3 extra kids in the house. My own kids' routines get disrupted too. Emma is in kindergarten now and needs help with her homework in the afternoons. Jack is at a stage where he needs a lot of attention and doesn't nap well when the house is noisy. Every time I tried to say no to Brooke, she'd guilt-trip me. She'd talk about how stressed she is with 3 kids and how she has no one else to help. She'd remind me of all the times she helped me when we were younger, implying that I owe her this. It made me feel terrible, so I'd give in. Things really started to escalate when Zoe was born last year. Brooke had a difficult pregnancy and was on bed rest for the last 2 months. I practically moved in with them to help out. I was taking care of Mia and Ethan, doing their laundry, cooking meals, all while trying to keep up with my own work and family. Blake was amazingly supportive, picking up the slack at home, but I could tell he was getting frustrated. After Zoe was born, I thought things would go back to normal. But Brooke struggled with postpartum depression and leaned on me even more. I wanted to be there for her like she'd been there for me, but it was taking a toll on my own family and career. The situation came to a head last month. Brooke texted me at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday asking if I could watch all 3 kids the next day from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. because she and Matthew both had to work. I told her I couldn't because I had an important client meeting. This client was a big deal. Landing their contract could really boost my freelance business. Brooke kept begging and said she'd lose her job if she missed work. I felt horrible, but I stood my ground and said no. The next morning at 6:30 a.m., Brooke showed up at my door with all 3 crying kids. She literally dropped them off and drove away before I could say anything. I was furious. I had to cancel my meeting and lost that client. When Brooke finally picked the kids up that night, I told her this could never happen again. She started crying and saying I don't understand how hard it is for her. She talked about how overwhelmed she feels trying to balance work and motherhood. She said I was being selfish and that family is supposed to help each other. She brought up all the times she'd helped me in the past and said she thought she could count on me. I snapped. All the frustration and resentment I'd been holding back came pouring out. I told her I'm not a free babysitting service. I reminded her that I have my own family and career to think about. I said from now on, I'd only watch her kids once a month max, with at least a week's advance notice. Brooke got really angry. She accused me of abandoning her when she needed me most. She said I'd changed and become selfish since I got married. She even implied that Blake was turning me against my family. She stormed out and has been giving me the silent treatment ever since. Our parents got involved too. They're furious with me. Mom called and said I'm being cruel and that Brooke is struggling and needs support. She reminded me how Brooke took care of me during their divorce and said I owe her. Dad, who's usually not involved in our lives, even reached out to lecture me about family loyalty. Blake is on my side, but says I should just give in to keep the peace. He hates seeing me upset and thinks it might be easier to just go back to babysitting. But I feel like if I give in now, nothing will ever change. I feel awful. Brooke has always been there for me, and I hate that our relationship has come to this. But I also feel like I'm being taken advantage of. I love my nieces and nephew, but I can't be responsible for them all the time. I'm worried that if I don't set boundaries now, I'll end up resenting Brooke and the kids. Am I the asshole for putting my foot down about babysitting? Should I just suck it up and help my sister? Or am I right to set boundaries? Update 1. It's been about 2 weeks since my original post, and a lot has happened. First, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments. They really helped me feel less guilty about setting boundaries. The day after I posted, Brooke showed up at my house unannounced. She was crying and apologizing profusely. She admitted she'd been taking advantage of me and promised to respect my boundaries going forward. She talked about how overwhelmed she's been lately and how she didn't realize how much she was asking of me. We had a long talk about our childhood and how our parents' divorce affected us differently. Brooke confessed that she sometimes feels like she has to be the strong one and has a hard time asking for help in a healthy way. I was doubtful but agreed to give her another chance. We set up a schedule where I'd watch the kids one afternoon a week, giving her a chance to run errands or have some time to herself. We also planned a sister's day out for the following weekend, something we hadn't done in years. Things were okay for about a week. Brooke stuck to the schedule and was much more appreciative when I did watch the kids. She even brought over dinner one night as a thank you. We had our sister's day out, and it was really nice. We went shopping, had lunch, and talked like we used to. I started to think maybe we'd turned a corner. But then last Friday, everything fell apart again. Brooke called me in a panic at 4 p.m., saying her regular sitter had canceled last minute and she had an important work dinner. She begged me to watch the kids just this once, swearing it was a real emergency. Against my better judgment, I agreed. She dropped them off at 5 p.m., promising to be back by 9 p.m. at the latest. But 9 p.m. came and went with no sign of Brooke. I texted and called her repeatedly, but got no response. The kids were getting cranky and worried. Mia kept asking where her mom was, and I didn't know what to tell her. By midnight, I was really worried. This wasn't like Brooke at all. I called our parents, but they hadn't heard from her either. Dad drove over to Brooke and Matthew's house, but their car wasn't there. Mom was talking about calling hospitals. I was trying to stay calm for the kids, but inside I was panicking. Finally, at 2 a.m., Brooke stumbled and completely drunk. Matthew was half carrying her. Turns out there was no work dinner. They had gone out partying with friends and lost track of time. When I confronted her, Brooke got belligerent. She accused me of trying to make her look bad and said I should be happy to spend time with my nieces and nephew. I was livid. We got into a huge argument, with Brooke slurring her words and me trying not to yell and wake the kids. I told her to get out of my house and that I was done being her doormat. Matthew apologized profusely and practically dragged Brooke out. The next day, Brooke tried to apologize again. She sent a long text about how embarrassed she was and how it would never happen again. But I wasn't having it. I told her I was done being taken advantage of and she needed to figure out her own childcare from now on. Brooke didn't take it well. She got angry and accused me of being selfish and abandoning her kids. She brought up our childhood again, saying she'd sacrificed so much for me and this is how I repay her. She even threatened to tell our parents about some stupid things I did as a teenager if I didn't get over myself and help her. Now she's been bad-mouthing me to our entire extended family. She's telling everyone that I've changed, but I think I'm too good for them now that I'm married with my own kids. Most of them are taking her side and calling me heartless. I've gotten calls from aunts and uncles I haven't spoken to in years, all lecturing me about family loyalty. Even Blake is starting to waver. He hates conflict and says maybe I should give Brooke one more chance for the sake of family peace. He suggested we invite Brooke and her family over for dinner to talk things out. But I'm worried that if I give in now, we'll just end up back where we started. I'm standing firm for now, but the guilt and pressure are getting to me. I keep thinking about how Brooke was there for me during our parents' divorce, how she helped me through my first breakup, how she supported me when I was struggling in college. Have I forgotten everything she's done for me? Am I being unfair? But then I remember how she's been treating me lately, how she lied about the work dinner and left her kids with me all night while she partied. I think about all the work I've missed and the strain it's put on my own family. I'm torn between my love for my sister and my need to protect myself and my immediate family. Did I overreact? Should I give Brooke another chance? Or am I right to stand my ground? Update 2. It's been about a month since my last update, and things have only gotten more complicated. Shortly after my last post, I found out that Brooke's erratic behavior wasn't just selfishness. She's been struggling with alcohol addiction. The truth came out in a family meeting called by our parents. Apparently, Brooke's drinking had been a problem for a while, but she'd been hiding it from everyone. It started about a year ago, after she went back to work following her maternity leave with Zoe. The stress of juggling 3 kids and a demanding job got to her, and she started having a glass of wine or 2 to unwind in the evenings. Over time, it escalated. She'd drink on her lunch break, hide bottles around the house, even drink before picking the kids up from school. Matthew had been covering for her, making excuses when she missed events or showed up late to things. He thought he could handle it on his own and was too ashamed to ask for help. The situation came to a head when Brooke got fired from her job about 2 weeks ago. She showed up to an important client meeting visibly drunk and made a scene. Her boss had no choice but to let her go. That's when Matthew finally reached his breaking point and told our parents everything. Learning all this, I felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, I was relieved to know there was a reason for Brooke's behavior beyond just taking advantage of me. On the other hand, I was hurt that she'd been lying to me for so long. We used to tell each other everything, and it pained me to think of her struggling alone. Our parents staged an intervention and convinced Brooke to go to rehab. She'll be there for at least 30 days. Matthew is trying to juggle work and taking care of the kids on his own. He's taken a leave of absence from his job, but he's worried about their finances. I felt terrible when I found out. Part of me wanted to step in and help with the kids while Brooke is getting treatment. I thought about how she'd always been there for me and wondered if I'd failed her by not noticing her struggles sooner. But another part of me is still hurt and angry about how she's treated me, especially the incident with the drunken night out. After a lot of soul-searching and discussions with Blake, I decided to offer limited help. I agreed to watch the kids 2 afternoons a week while Matthew is at work. But I made it clear that this is temporary and doesn't mean I'm going back to being on-call childcare. I also insisted that Matthew look into other childcare options for when Brooke gets out of rehab. Some family members are praising me for stepping up, saying this is what family is all about. But others are still saying I should do more. They think I should have the kids full-time while Brooke is in rehab, or that I should put my work on hold to help out more. I don't think that's fair to me or my own family. I'm trying to find a balance between being supportive and maintaining boundaries. It's not easy. I love my nieces and nephew, and I want to be there for them during this difficult time. But I'm also still dealing with my own feelings of hurt and betrayal. I've started seeing a therapist to help me process everything that's happened. It's bringing up a lot of old feelings from our childhood. The pressure I always felt to live up to Brooke's example. The guilt I carry for relying on her so much during our parents' divorce. I'm realizing that our relationship hasn't been as healthy as I thought for a long time. For now, I'm taking it day by day. I'm trying to be there for my nieces and nephew without sacrificing my own well-being or my immediate family's needs. It's a delicate balance, and I'm not always sure I'm getting it right. Am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing more to help? Or am I already overextending myself? Update 3. It's been 2 months since my last update. Brooke completed her 30-day rehab program and has been sober for about 6 weeks now. She's attending AA meetings regularly and seems committed to her recovery. When she first got out of rehab, Brooke came to me and gave a heartfelt apology. We met at a cafe, just the two of us, and talked for hours. She acknowledged how badly she treated me and said she wanted to make amends. She explained how her drinking had spiraled out of control and how ashamed she felt about lying to everyone. She asked if we could try to rebuild our relationship slowly. I was cautiously optimistic, but still wary. The hurt and anger I'd felt hadn't disappeared overnight. We agreed to start with short, supervised visits where she could see her kids at my house. These visits were awkward at first. Brooke seemed unsure of herself around the kids, and they were confused about why they couldn't go home with her. But over time, things got more relaxed as Brooke proved she could stay sober and be responsible. Last week, Brooke asked if she could start babysitting my kids occasionally to give me a break. She said it would help her feel useful and give us a chance to bond again. I was hesitant at first. The idea of leaving my kids with her brought up a lot of anxiety. But after talking it over with Blake and my therapist, I decided to give it a try. We started small. Brooke watched Emma and Jack for 2 hours while I ran errands. I was nervous the whole time I was gone, but when I got home, the kids were happy and the house was in order. Brooke was clear-eyed and sober. She'd helped Emma with her reading and played blocks with Jack. Felt like a small victory. We're taking things day by day, but I'm cautiously hopeful that we can rebuild our relationship. Brooke seems genuinely remorseful and committed to change. She started therapy to work through her issues, and she and Matthew are in couples counseling. She's applying for jobs again and trying to rebuild her life. Some family members think I should just forgive and forget, but I'm not there yet. The trust that was broken isn't easily repaired. I'm maintaining boundaries while still offering support. It's a delicate balance, but I think it's the right approach for now. Brooke and I have started having weekly sister dates. Just the two of us. Sometimes we go for coffee. Other times we just take a walk in the park. We're slowly opening up to each other again, talking about our feelings and experiences in a way we haven't in years. It's bringing up a lot of old memories and emotions, both good and bad. Time will tell if Brooke can maintain her sobriety and if we can truly repair our relationship. But for now, I'm choosing cautious optimism and taking it one day at a time. I've learned a lot through this experience. I've realized the importance of setting boundaries, even with family. I've also learned that it's okay to prioritize my own well-being and that of my immediate family. At the same time, I've been reminded of the deep bonds of sisterhood and how, despite everything, I still want Brooke in my life. Blake has been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal. He's been patient when I've needed to vent, and he's stepped up with our kids when I've been helping with Brooke's family. We've had some long talks about family dynamics and what we want for our own children. If anything, this situation has brought us closer together. Our parents are still adjusting to the new normal. Mom is thrilled that Brooke and I are working on our relationship, but she sometimes pushes for things to move faster than I'm comfortable with. Dad has been surprisingly understanding, even apologizing for putting so much pressure on me earlier. As for Brooke's kids, they're doing better. Mia is old enough to understand a bit about what's going on, and she's been seeing a child therapist to help her process everything. Ethan and Zoe are too young to fully grasp the situation, but they seem happy to be spending more time with their mom again. Matthew and I have developed a better relationship through all of this too. He's apologized multiple times for his role in enabling Brooke's behavior and for the times he let her take advantage of me. He's stepping up more with the kids and trying to be a better partner to Brooke. Looking back at my original post, I can see how far we've all come. The situation isn't perfect and we still have a long way to go, but I feel like we're on the right path. I'm proud of Brooke for her hard work and recovery, and I'm proud of myself for standing up for my needs. I know there will be challenges ahead. Recovery is a lifelong journey, and there may be setbacks along the way. But I'm hopeful that with continued communication, therapy, and mutual respect, we can build a healthier relationship, not just between Brooke and me, but for our whole family.